Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books here at the live studios in Radha Lane, ISKCON, Houston, just down the pathway to Srila Nilamadava's beautiful temple. We're becoming more and more enlightened by hearing the glories of Krishna from many angles of vision, from many incarnations, from many devotees of those incarnations. And in this way our consciousness is expanding by continually reading Srimad-Bhagavatam every day and associating with Srila Prabhupada directly. Can't get any better than this. Hare Krishna. In this company of pure devotees. Hare Krishna. Haribol. Hare Krishna. Okay. Before we do our reading, we recite a prayer. Thank you, Sarva. We recite a prayer by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who was the senior disciple, by the way, of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was instructed by Mahaprabhu for 2 months straight, got more instruction direct from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, time-wise, than anyone else. So we're very intimate devotee in our line with spiritual authority. Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastra Nipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalitvan Doditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharaya Te Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Mando Mat Sanghin Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Man Nistaraga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu Sadhuta Dayin Adini Chochata Kada Hanamunchagadachin Mam Premna Rit Kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we're gradually going deeper into the 8th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. We've heard how the Lord delivered the king of the elephants, Gajendra, when he was in a very difficult situation. And now we're going to hear more. Lord Brahma is praying to the Lord. The demigods are in trouble. At least when they get in trouble, they pray to the Lord. They know who to go to, at least. Different between the demigods and others. Beginning with text 21. Lord Brahma said, I, Lord Shiva, all of you demigods, the demons, the living entities born of perspiration, the living entities born of eggs, the trees and plants sprouting from the earth, and the living entities born from embryos, all come from the Supreme Lord, from his incarnation of Rajaguna, Lord Brahma, the Guna avatar, and from the great sages, rishis, who were part of me. Let us therefore go to the Supreme Lord and take shelter of his lotus feet. The demigods came to Brahma, and Brahma, being a good devotee, is taking them to Vishnu. Purport. Some creatures are born from embryos, some from perspiration, and some from seeds. In this way, all living entities emanate from the Guna avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ultimately, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the shelter of all living entities. Text 22. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no one to be killed, no one to be protected, no one to be neglected, and no one to be worshipped. Nonetheless, for the sake of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, according to time, he accepts different forms as incarnations, either in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, or the mode of ignorance. Purport. This verse explains that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal to everyone. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 9:29. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stina priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Although the Lord is impartial, he gives special attention to his devotees. Therefore the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4:8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkitam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. The Lord has nothing to do with anyone's protection or destruction, but for the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material world, he apparently has to act either in goodness and passion or in ignorance. Actually, however, he is unaffected by these modes of material nature. He is the Supreme Lord of everyone. As a king sometimes punishes or rewards someone to maintain law and order, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although having nothing to do with the activities of this material world, sometimes appears as various incarnations according to the time, place, and object. Text 23. Now is the time to invoke the mode of goodness of the living entities who have accepted material bodies. The mode of goodness is meant to establish the Supreme Lord's rule, which will maintain the existence of the creation. Therefore, this is the opportune moment to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he is naturally very kind and dear to the demigods, he will certainly bestow good fortune upon us. Purport. The material world is conducted by the three modes of nature, namely Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. By Rajoguna, everything material is created. By Sattvaguna, everything material is maintained properly. And by Tamoguna, when the creation is improperly situated, everything is destroyed. Except for you. Hare Krishna. Dr. Hare Krishna. From this verse we can understand the situation of Kali Yuga, through which we are now passing. Just before the beginning of Kali Yuga, or in other words, at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, Lord Sri Krishna appeared and left his instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita. in which he asked all living entities to surrender unto him. Since the beginning of Kali Yuga, however, people have practically been unable to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna. And therefore, after some 5,000 years, Krishna came again as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just to teach the entire world how to surrender unto him, unto Sri Krishna, and thus be purified. Surrendering unto the lotus feet of Krishna means achieving complete purification. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarvadharman Purityaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tvam Sarvapapebhyo Mokshayishami Ma Shujaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Thus, as soon as one surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna, one certainly becomes free from all contamination. Kali Yuga is full of contamination. This is described in the Srimad-Bhagavatam 12.351. Kaler dosha ride rajan asti yeko mahan gunaha kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha padam brajet. This age of Kali is full of unlimited faults. Indeed, it is just like an ocean of faults. Dosha nidhi. But there is one chance, one opportunity. Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha padam brajet. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can be freed from the contamination of Kali Yuga, and in his original spiritual body can return home back to Godhead. This is the opportunity of Kali Yuga. When Krishna appeared, he gave his orders, and when Krishna himself appeared as a devotee, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he showed us the path by which to cross the ocean of Kali Yuga. That is the path of the Hare Krishna movement. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he ushered in the era for the Sankirtan movement. It is also said that for 10,000 years, this era will continue. This means that simply by accepting the Sankirtan movement and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the fallen souls of this Kali Yuga will be delivered. After the battle of Kurukshetra, at which Bhagavad Gita was spoken, Kali Yuga continues for 432,000 years, of which only 5,000 have passed. Thus there is still a balance of 427,000 years to come. Of these 427,000 years, the 10,000 years of the Sankirtan movement inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago provide the opportunity for the fallen souls of Kali Yuga to take to the Krishna consciousness movement, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and thus be delivered from the clutches of material existence and return home, back to Godhead. Chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is potent always, but it is especially potent in this age of Kali. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami, while instructing Maharaj Parikshit, stressed this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Kaler dosha dire rajan asti yeko mahan gunaha kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param brajet. My dear Krishna, my dear King, my dear King, although Kali Yuga is full of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. It is that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Srimad-Bhagavatam 12.3.51. Those who have accepted the task of spreading the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in full Krishna consciousness should take this opportunity to deliver people very easily from the clutches of material existence. Our duty, therefore, is to follow the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and preach the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world very sincerely. This is the best welfare activity for the peace and prosperity of human society. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement consists of spreading Krishna Sankirtan, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. All glories to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Why is it so glorious? This is also being explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitodarpanam Arjanam. By the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one's heart is cleansed. The whole difficulty is that in this age of Kali, there is no sattva guna and no clearance of the heart. And therefore people are making the mistake of identifying with their bodies. Even the big philosophers and scientists with whom we deal are practically all under the impression that they are their bodies. The other day we were discussing with a prominent philosopher, Thomas Huxley, who was proud of being an Englishman. This means that he was in the bodily conception of life. Everywhere we find this same misunderstanding. As soon as one is in the bodily conception of life, one is nothing but an animal, like a cat or a dog. Saeva Gokara. Thus, the most dangerous of the dirty things within our hearts is this misidentification of the body as the self. Under the influence of this misunderstanding, one thinks, I am this body, I am an Englishman, I am an Indian, I am an American, I am Hindu, I am Muslim. This misconception is the strongest impediment, then it must be removed. That is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita and of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, Bhagavad Gita begins with this instruction. Dehinosmin yata dehe Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram jovanam jara tatadihantara praptir didas tatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad Gita 2:13. Although the soul is within the body, nevertheless, because of misunderstanding and animal propensities, one accepts the body as the self. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Chaito Darpanam Arjanam, to cleanse the core of the heart, which is full of misunderstanding, is possible only through Sri Krishna Sankirtan. The leaders of the Krishna consciousness movement should very seriously take this opportunity to be kind to the fallen souls by delivering them from the misunderstanding of materialistic life. One cannot be happy in any way within this material world. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 8:16, Abrahma bhavana loka punar arbatanarjuna. From the highest planet in this material world down to the lowest, all our places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. Therefore, not to speak of going to the moon, even if one is promoted to the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka, there cannot be any happiness in this material world. If one actually wants happiness, one must go to the spiritual world. The material world is characterized by a struggle for existence, and survival of the fittest is a well-known principle. But the poor souls of this material world do not know what is survival and who is fit. Survival does not mean that one should die. Survival does not mean that one should die. Survival means that one should not die, but should enjoy an everlasting blissful life of knowledge. This is survival. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to make every person fit for survival. Indeed, it is meant to stop the struggle for existence. The Srimad-Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita give definite directions on how to stop the struggle for existence and how to survive in eternal life. The Sankirtan movement, therefore, is a great opportunity. Simply by hearing Bhagavad Gita and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one becomes completely purified. Thus, the struggle for existence ceases and one goes back home, back to Godhead. Text 24. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of all enemies, after Lord Brahma finished speaking to the demigods, he took them with him to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is beyond this material world. The Lord's abode is on an island called Shweta-dweep, which is situated in the ocean of milk. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit is addressed here as Arindama, subduer of all enemies. Not only do we have enemies outside of our bodies, but within our bodies there are many enemies, such as lusty desires, anger, and greed. Maharaj Parikshit is specifically addressed as Arindama because in his political life he was able to subdue all kinds of enemies. And even though he was a young king, as soon as he heard that he was going to die within 7 days, he immediately left his kingdom. He did not follow the dictates of enemies within his body, such as lust, greed, and anger. He was not at all angry with the Muni's son who had cursed him. Rather, he accepted the curse and prepared for his death in the association of Shukadev Goswami. Death is inevitable. No one can surpass the force of death. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, while fully alive, wanted to hear Srimad-Bhagavatam. He is consequently addressed here as Arindama. In other words, Surapriya is also significant. Although Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is equal toward everyone, he is especially inclined toward his devotees. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. The devotees are all demigods. There are two kinds of men within this world. One is called the Deva, and the other is called the Asura. The Padma Purana states, Dvau bhuta sargau lokesmin daiva asura evacha Vishnu bhakta smrito daiva asuras tad viparya yaha. Anyone who is a devotee of Lord Krishna is called a Deva, and others, even though they may be devotees of demigods, are called Asuras. Ravana, for example, was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, but he is described as an Asura. Similarly, Hiranyakashipu is described as a great devotee of Lord Brahma, yet he was also an Asura. Therefore, only the devotee of Lord Vishnu is called Sura, not Asura. Lord Krishna is very much pleased with his devotees, even if they are not on the topmost stage of devotional service. Even on the lower stages of devotional life, one is transcendental. And if one continues with devotional life, he continues to be a Deva or Sura. If one continues in this way, Krishna will always be pleased with him and will give him all instructions so that he may very easily return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Concerning Ajitasya Padam, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the milk ocean of this material world, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Padam chiro dadista Shweta-dweepam tamasak prakrite padam. The island known as Shweta-dweep, which is in the ocean of milk, is transcendental. It has nothing to do with this material world. A city government may have a rest house where the governor and important government officers stay. Such a rest house is not an ordinary house. Similarly, although Shweta-dweep, which is in the ocean of milk, is in this material world, it is padam padam, transcendental. Text 25. There, at Shweta-dweep, Lord Brahma offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he had never seen the Supreme Lord. Simply because Lord Brahma had heard about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from Vedic literature, with a fixed mind, he offered the Lord prayers as written or approved by Vedic literature. Purport. It is said that when Brahma and the other demigods go to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Shvetadvip, they cannot directly see him, but their prayers are heard by the Lord, and the needful action is taken. This we have seen in many instances. The word Shruta Purvaya is significant. We get experience by directly seeing or by hearing. If it is not possible to see someone directly, we can hear about him from authentic sources. Sometimes people ask whether we can show them God. This is ludicrous. It is not necessary for one to see God before he can accept God. Our sensory perception is always incomplete. Therefore, even if we see God, we may not be able to understand him. When Krishna was on earth, many people saw him, but could not understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanamashritam. Even though the rascals and fools saw Krishna personally, they could not understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even upon seeing God personally, one who was unfortunate cannot understand him. Therefore, we have to hear about God, Krishna, from the authentic Vedic literature and from persons who understand the Vedic version properly. Even though Brahma had not seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead before, he was confident that the Lord was there in Shvetadvip. Thus he took the opportunity to go there and offer prayers to the Lord. These prayers were not ordinary, concocted prayers. Prayers must be approved by Vedic literature, as indicated in this verse by the words Daivi Bir Girvi. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we do not allow any song that has not been approved or sung by bona fide devotees. We cannot allow cinema songs to be sung in the temple. We generally sing two songs. One is Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Shivasari, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. This is bona fide. It is always mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it is accepted by the acharyas. The other, of course, is the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We may also sing the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Lochan Das Thakur. But these two songs, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, are sufficient to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although we cannot see him. Seeing the Lord is not as important as appreciating him from the authentic literature or the authentic statements of authorized persons. Text 26. Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Lord, O changeless, unlimited Supreme Truth, you are the origin of everything. Being all-pervading, you are in everyone's heart and also in the atom. You have no material qualities. Indeed, you are inconceivable. The mind cannot catch you by speculation, and words fail to describe you. You are the Supreme Master of everyone, and therefore you are worshipable for everyone. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not anything of material creation. Everything material must change from one form to another. For example, from earth to earthen pot, and from earthen pot to earth again. All our creations are temporary, impermanent. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, is eternal, and similarly, the living entities who are parts of Him are also eternal. Mamai Bhangsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatanaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sanatana, eternal, and the individual living entities are also eternal. The difference is that Krishna, or God, is the supreme eternal, whereas the individual souls are minute, fragmental eternals. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 13.3, Chetragyam chapimam bidi sarva chetreshu bharata. Although the Lord is a living being and the individual souls are living beings, the Supreme Lord, unlike the individual souls, is vibhu, all-pervading, and ananta, unlimited. The Lord is the cause of everything. The living entities are innumerable, but the Lord is one. No one is greater than Him, and no one is equal to Him. Thus, the Lord is the supreme, worshipable object, as understood from the Vedic mantras, Natat samas chabdyatikas tradrishyate. The Lord is supreme because no one can evaluate Him by material speculation or jugglery of words. The Lord can travel more quickly than the mind. In the Shruti mantras of Ishopanishad, it is said, Anejad ekam manasad javiyo naindad edeva apnuvan purvamarshat tad davatonyan atyetitishtat tasmin apo matra rishwa dadati. Although fixed in His abode, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods can approach Him. Although in one place, the powerful demigods cannot approach Him. Sorry, I'll read it again. The powerful demigods cannot approach Him. Although in one place, He controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. Ishopanishad 4. Thus the Supreme is never to be equaled by the subordinate living entities. Because the Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and the individual living entity is not, never should the living entity be equated with the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanavishtaha. I am situated in everyone's heart. This does not mean, however, that everyone is equal to the Lord. In the Shruti mantras, it is also said, Riti yayam atma pratishtita. In the beginning of Srimad-Bhagavatam, it is said, Satyam padam dhimahi. The Vedic mantras say, Satyam jnanam anantam, and Nishkalam, Nishkriyam, Shantam, Niravadyam. God is supreme. Although naturally He does not do anything, He is doing everything. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya tatamidang sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham te svavastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Bhagavad Gita 9:4. Maya yakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunani nikonteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature, working under my direction, O son of Kunti, is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Bhagavad Gita 9:10. Thus, although the Lord is silent in His abode, He is doing everything through His different energies. Parasya, Shaktir, Vividaiva, Shruyate. All the Vedic mantras, or Shruti mantras, are included in this verse spoken by Lord Brahma. For Brahma and his followers, the Brahma Sampradaya, understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the Parampara system. We have to gain understanding through the words of our predecessors. There are 12 Mahajans, or authorities, of whom Brahma is one. Swayambhur, Naradakshambhu, Kumara, Kapilo Manu, Pralado, Janako Bhishmo, Balir Vayasakir Bayam. We belong to the disciplic succession of Brahma, and therefore we are known as the Brahma Sampradaya. As the demigods follow Lord Brahma to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we also have to follow the authorities of the Parampara system to understand the Lord. Text 27. The Supreme Personality of Godhead directly and indirectly knows how everything, including the living force, mind, and intelligence, is working under His control. He is the illuminator of everything and has no ignorance. He does not have a material body subject to the reactions of previous activities, and He is free from the ignorance of partiality and materialistic education. I therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, who is eternal, all-pervading, and as great as the sky, and who appears with 6 opulences in 3 yugas, Satya, Treta, and Dwapara. Purport. In the beginning of Srimad-Bhagavatam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in this way. Janmad yasya yaton bayat itarata chartishu abhigya. The Lord is the origin of all emanations, and He directly and indirectly knows everything about all the activities within His creation. Therefore the Lord is addressed here as Vipaschchitam, one who is full of all knowledge, or who knows everything. The Lord is the Supreme Soul, and He knows everything about the living entities and their senses. The word anidram means always awake and free from ignorance. Is very important in this verse. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Matak smritir jnanam apavanam cha. It is the Lord who gives intelligence to everyone and who causes everyone to forget. There are millions and millions of living entities, and the Lord gives them directions. Therefore He has no time to sleep, and He is never in ignorance of our activities. The Lord is the witness of everything. He sees what we are doing at every moment. The Lord is not covered by a body resulting from karma. Our bodies are formed as a result of our past deeds. Karmana, daivanetrena. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not have a material body, and therefore He has no avidya, ignorance. He does not sleep, but is always alert and awake. The Supreme Lord is described as Triyuga, because although He appeared variously in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, when He appeared in Kali Yuga, He never declared Himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnadvarnam, Tvisha Krishnam, Sangopangas Triparshadam. The Lord appears in Kali Yuga as a devotee. Thus, although He is Krishna, He chants the Hare Krishna mantra like a devotee. Still, Srimad-Bhagavatam 11.5.32 recommends Jagyai Sankirtana Prayayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose complexion is not black like that of Krishna, but is golden, Tvisha Krishnam, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is accompanied by associates like Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. Those who are sufficiently intelligent worship this Supreme Personality of Godhead by performing Sankirtan Yajna. In this incarnation, the Supreme Lord declares Himself not to be the Supreme Lord, and therefore He is known as Triyuga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. It's like every purport explains everything. Text 28. In the cycle of material activities, the material body resembles the wheel of a mental chariot. The 10 senses, 5 for working and 5 for gathering knowledge, and the 5 life airs within the body form the 15 spokes of the chariot's wheel. The 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are its center of activities, and the 8 ingredients of nature, earth, water, fire, air, mind, intelligence, and false ego, comprise the rim of the wheel. The external material energy moves this wheel like electrical energy. Thus, the wheel revolves very quickly around its hub or central support, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supersoul and the ultimate truth. We offer our respectful obeisances unto Him. Purport. The cycle of repeated birth and death is figuratively described herein. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.5, apariyamitaswanyam prakritim vidime param jiva-bhutam mahabaho yayidam dharyate jagat. The entire world is going on because the living entity, who is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, is utilizing the material energy. Under the clutches of the material energy, the Jivatma is revolving on the wheel of birth and death under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The central point is the Supersoul, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 1861. Ishwarat sarvabhutanam riddhisharjana tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. The material body of a living entity is a result of the conditioned soul's activities, and because the supporter is the Supersoul is the true reality. Every one of us, therefore, should offer respectful obeisances to this central reality. One should not be misguided by the activities of this material world and forget the central point, the absolute truth. That is the instruction given here by Lord Brahma. Text 29. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, and therefore He is Ekavarna, the Omkara, Pranava. Because the Lord is beyond the cosmic manifestation, which is considered to be darkness, He is not visible to material eyes. Nonetheless, He is not separated from us by time or space, but is present everywhere. Seated on His carrier, Garuda, He is worshipped by means of mystical yogic power by those who have achieved freedom from agitation. Let us all offer our respectful obeisances unto Him. Purport. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. In this material world, that's Bhagavatam 4.3.23, in this material world, the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, brings about a mixture of knowledge and ignorance. But the mode of good ignorance is full of darkness. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond darkness and passion. He is on the platform where goodness or knowledge is not disturbed by passion and ignorance. This is called the Vasudeva platform. It is on this platform of Vasudeva that Vasudeva, or Krishna, can appear. Thus Krishna appeared on this planet as the son of Vasudeva. Because the Lord is situated beyond the 3 modes of material nature, He is unseen by those who are dominated by these 3 modes. One must therefore become dhira, or undisturbed, by the modes of material nature. The process of yoga may be practiced by one who is free from the agitation of these modes. Therefore, yoga is defined in this way: Yoga Indriya Samyamya. As previously explained, we are disturbed by the indriyas, or senses. Moreover, we are agitated by the three modes of material nature, which are imposed upon us by the external energy. In conditional life, the living entity moves turbulently in the whirlpool of birth and death. But when one is situated on the transcendental platform of Vishuddhasattva, pure goodness, he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who sits on the back of Garuda. Lord Brahma offers his respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Lord. Text 30. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy, Maya, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense to understand the aim of life. That same Maya, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who rules everyone and who is equally disposed toward all living entities. Let us offer our obeisances unto him. Purport. The prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu certainly controls all living entities, so much so that the living entities have forgotten the aim of life. Nate vidu swarta gatim hi Vishnum. The living entities have forgotten that the aim of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. The external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all conditioned souls what appears to be an opportunity to be happy within this material world. But that is Maya. In other words, it is a dream that is never to be fulfilled. Thus, every living being is illusioned by the external energy of the Supreme Lord. That illusory energy is undoubtedly very strong, but she is fully under the control of the transcendental person who is described in this verse as Parisham, the transcendental Lord. The Lord is not a part of the material creation, but is beyond the creation. Therefore, not only does he control the conditioned souls through his external energy, but he also controls the external energy itself. Bhagavad Gita clearly says that the strong material energy controls everyone, and that getting out of her control is extremely difficult. That controlling energy belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and works under his control. The living entities, however, being subdued by the material energy, have forgotten the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 31. Since our bodies are made of sattva guna, we, the demigods, are internally and externally situated in goodness. All the great saints are also situated in that way. Therefore, if even we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is to be said of those who are most insignificant in their bodily constitutions, being situated in the mode of passion and ignorance? How can they understand the Lord? Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. Atheists and demons cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he is situated within everyone. For them, the Lord finally appears in the form of death, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Mrityu Sarva Haras Chaham. Atheists think that they are independent, and therefore they do not care about the supremacy of the Lord. Yet the Lord asserts his supremacy when he overcomes them as death. At the time of death, their attempts to use their so-called scientific knowledge and philosophical speculation to deny the supremacy of the Lord cannot work. Hiranyakashipu, for example, was an exalted representative of the atheistic class of men. He always challenged the existence of God, and thus he became inimical even toward his own son. Everyone was afraid of Hiranyakashipu's atheistic principles. Nonetheless, when Lord Nrsingadev appeared in order to kill him, Hiranyakashipu's atheistic principles could not save him. Lord Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu and took away all his power, influence, and pride. Atheistic men, however, never understand how everything they create is annihilated. The Supersoul is situated within them, but because of the predominance of the modes of passion and ignorance, they cannot understand the supremacy of the Lord. Even the demigods, the devotees, who were transcendentally situated, or situated on the platform of goodness, are not fully aware of the qualities and position of the Lord. How then can the demons and atheists understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead? It is not possible. Therefore, to gain this understanding, the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, offered their respectful obeisances to the Lord. Hare Krishna. 5:30 on the dot. We'll stop here our daily reading and call upon the assembled sages for their reflections, discussions, questions, whatever. Yes, Pranahari.
I really liked this phrase in the purport of text 30. The external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all conditioned souls what appears to be an opportunity to be happy within this material world, but that is Maya. In other words, it is a dream that is never to be fulfilled. I really appreciate that because there's just so many all the material desires, all the wishes to control reality the way I want to. Sometimes it seems very plausible. I just need to make this one tweak and then I'm happy. But here it's very definitive that it's a dream that's never to be fulfilled. I will only be happy when I'm Krishna conscious. So I appreciate the clarity.
Let's hear it for clarity. Thank you very much for that nice reflection. Hare Krishna. Yes, Bhakti Doug. You got the mic.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Doug.
I wanted to make a comment on that same point, that same line by Prabhupada. And it calls to mind the relativity of the situation and the viewpoints that each conditioned soul can have. Because it's easy for each of us, like we could look at a certain other, even another person, not even just another type of animal or creature or species, and just see the condition of their life and think that, that must be really miserable or something. How can they have any happiness there? But from their point of view, they may be going for something that they think is going to bring them the most happiness in the world, and it's something that each individual has separate. Like I was saying, the relativity. It's pretty amazing how the power of Maya to actually create this illusion and sustain it for so many different beings at once.
Yeah, there's all kinds of philosophers that kind of think about that in different ways. One verse is that this material world is full of the crocodiles of various theories, and they eat, figuratively, the conditioned souls who are trying to understand what's happening to them because they're bewildered. There was one, I can't remember his name, Lipsy, a big philosopher, and his idea was that every one of us, we live in our own little universe, and we can't, It was called what was it? Monad. We're all monads. We have our own little world, and we're not connected with anyone else. And anyway, there's so many philosophies, millions of them, and each philosopher's intense endeavor to try to figure out on his own, by speculation, what's going on here, and why he's not, satisfied. He's trying to get satisfied by making something up. They have that philosophy. There's another group of philosophers that say that, if trees fall in a forest, there's no sound because there's no one to listen to it. They think like this, And then when you try to explain to them, well, there is actually common perception we all have. Like, we all see green, and therefore we can all go when it says green, and we can all stop when it's red. But they still want to be their own, their own controllers, their own independent lords. It's very strong, the material energy. It can make us think anything at any time, Maya. And Krishna sometimes proves that, even that Brahma does something wrong, or Shiva does something wrong, just to show that no one is above that lives in this material world. No one is above doing something wrong. So therefore we should be very humble and very careful, when we deal with others, very careful. Yes, Prana.
Notice that the verse Kaler Dosha Nide Rajan
Oh, yes.
was quoted at least 2 or 3 times in
Yes.
purports. And Srila Prabhupada was making the point that, the Kali Yuga is such an ocean of faults, but by the Sankirtan movement, then all perfection's achieved. And in one of the purports he mentioned how the Panchatattva mantra and Hare Krishna mantra were sufficient for that perfection, which I appreciate, because the tendency, I think, is to complicate things for the conditioned soul, overcomplicate, do something else, not just take the simple standard process and start adding in more externals to think that I'm making progress by the external additions, but rather just these 2 mantras is all we really need, and to go deeply into them is kind of like the life's work. So I appreciated these points.
Yes. Volena priyachiyate. Judge a thing by its results. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Thank you. Questions? Too many to ask. When you tie one down, they're always going around. When you get a hold of one, and let us know.
You gotta hold on to
Yeah,
it.
let us
Can't
know.
hold on to it.
Let us know. Let us know. Yeah, I know it's a lot to take in. Actually, the Bhagavatam is one verse after another, one purport after another. There's so much knowledge packed into it. Sometimes as devotees we forget, that the kinds of things that we think of, what to speak of here like this, are more deep than a whole lifetime of materialistic conception.
Couple.
Okay, go ahead.
Rati Manjari first.
Okay, Rati.
Dear Guru Maharaj,
You got the floor.
please accept my respectful obeisances. Tonight we heard about how Lord Brahma took the demigods to the Shweta-dweep island to pray to the Lord. I appreciate how Lord Brahma has so much faith in the Vedic statements. He believes the Lord is there, even though he cannot see him. Yet we also have heard that the Lord is everywhere and can hear our prayers wherever we are. What then is the significance of the demigods going all the way to the ocean of milk? Is it because the Lord appreciates their extra effort, or for us to hear about his residence and gain more faith, or something else? Kindly explain this point.
All of the above. It's all of the above. That was nice reflection. I like it. We'll take your reflection as it is. One point on that issue that came up in my mind when I was reading it was that, Brahma saw Garbhodakashaya Vishnu in the very beginning of the creation, before he started to create. Before the creation was anything. He was there, it was dark, there was no one else there, He tried to, because he was so intelligent from previous, lifetimes, he immediately tried to figure out. So he climbed down the stem of the lotus and tried to see Garbhodaka, and he couldn't. And then, he climbed back up, and then he understood. Then he heard that word ta-pa, which means penance. And then he understood, because he's so intelligent. What does it say? What is it saying? The more intelligent it is, the less you have to say to convince him of something. Isn't that, what is that saying, Sarva? There's a saying. Oh, there's a nice little aphorism, but I can't remember it offhand. But anyway, that's the essence of it. The gist is, it only takes a few words to explain something to somebody who's intelligent. So ta-pa, then Brahma, he's so intelligent, he understands, I have to do penance. So he goes up sits on his lotus flower and just meditates for like 100 years. And then when he is actually, when Vishnu is satisfied with him, then he appears to him. And then he can see Garbhodaka Vishnu there. So then I was thinking, and he actually revealed to him the spiritual world also. So he's not an ordinary person. So then I thought, it's saying that Brahma doesn't understand that Krishna is there, but so he has to go all the way to the ocean of milk. But then I understood that actually that means it's to teach others, first of all, to teach others. And once he starts to create, he gets so absorbed in the creation, then he forgets. That's the message. Even if you're Brahma, you'll forget. What to speak of us? We should never think that we know it all. We should never think we know it all. We should be humble. And then later Brahma tried to test Krishna, and then Krishna showed him the extent of his potencies, and he became so overwhelmed, he practically fainted. He couldn't keep his consciousness, And then at the end of that, then Brahma, and his prayers, then he made all those nice prayers in 10th canto. And then at the end, Brahma says to Krishna, "Can I have your permission to go now?" Because he understood he was so embarrassed for what he did, And even he was there in Goloka Vrindavan, and our acharyas say, why did he say that? When he had attained, Vrindavan, and he was there, and he saw Krishna, and he understood who Krishna was because of that revelation that Krishna gave him. So why not just stay there? And he even prayed, let me become, a blade of grass somewhere so that the gopis will step on me and the Brajbasis will step on me. But he couldn't. He couldn't stay there. He couldn't give up the conception because that was his duty to Krishna. But still, he couldn't give up that conception. Therefore, he couldn't stay in Vrindavan, even though he was there. So we should never take for granted what we've been given, the knowledge that we've been given in these books.
Okay. Kitty Ramai has a comment. It's just
from the UK, London.
Maharaj, I don't have any questions today. I would just like to thank you for the time you're tirelessly giving us every day without fail to teach us to understand Srimad-Bhagavatam. I feel very inspired, not just by your vast knowledge and understanding of Srimad-Bhagavatam, but also for your steadiness. Thank you very much. All glories to your service.
Well, I only have one thing to say about that. I'm just a peon. I'm just trying to deliver Srila Prabhupada. That's all. I don't know anything except what Prabhupada told me. That's it. So, but anyway, thank you very much for your kind words. But I'm really trying to, trying to give Prabhupada direct. And it makes me very happy to do that. Thank you. And especially it makes me happy when I hear of devotees who are inspired by it, and it's helping them in their Krishna consciousness. It's so inspiring. You're my inspiration. Everyone needs encouragement.
Narati has another question. She says, I also liked how we heard in the very beginning how it said that for the Supreme Lord, there is no one to be neglected. Could you please explain this interesting statement?
Yeah, because Krishna is in the heart of every living being. And there's a statement that says that therefore one should treat everybody like a temple of the Lord. If we start, picking and choosing who to be and discriminate, then of course, to preach we have to discriminate. We have to see who's favorable, who's not favorable, who's innocent, who's envious, and certain kinds of people we have to avoid. But still, in general, a Vaishnava will give respect to everyone, even if that person isn't the ideal person to associate with. There will be a goodwill in the heart. Suridam. Goodwill in the heart. And that pleases Krishna. When we, like I was reading in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the verses at the end of the 12th chapter where Krishna explains what pleases him most. One of them is to be friendly to all the equal to all living entities. And I've seen it in my, the devotees. They'll see a little insect and they'll talk to it or something. It gets in the wrong place and tries to put it in the right place so it doesn't, get smashed or something. Because everything belongs to Krishna. Everyone and everything belongs to Krishna. And even if some are more conditioned than others, it doesn't mean that Krishna's not there in the heart. When we pay obeisances to one another, we're actually paying obeisances to Krishna in the heart, as well as to the devotee who Krishna is manifesting himself to. The devotee gets extra obeisance because Krishna is manifesting himself in the heart of the devotee, so he can manifest devotional service. Anyway, I was talking to Dr. Doug in the lunchtime today, if we just practice thinking like this, then we'll be able to preach to ourselves. When we get ourselves in a situation where we're thinking something that's starting to, get to us or, make us bewildered or cause us to do or say something that maybe we know is not right, but we're going to do it anyway. And then we have to be able to preach to our own minds. That's a big part of preaching. No, I don't think so. I don't want your mind says, come over and do this. No, I don't think so. We already did that before. That was no fun. Don't you remember? Holy Krishna. Sarva, you have something?
We read from Sanatana Goswami about how every syllable of the Bhagavatam pours down a flood of prema. So maybe you could elaborate on obviously the same syllables are not other literatures don't have the same effect. So something special about Shukadeva Goswami's.
Well, we read in that purport. Do you remember just the other day we read in a purport that the Bhagavatam is eternal. It's there before the creation existed. And I'm getting what I'm saying right now from Gopi Puranananda Prabhu, who not only studied, he translated and commented on the Tattva Sandarbha, and I helped Jayadvaita Maharaj to edit that book. And in that book, Jiva Goswami makes the point. I'm repeating it. Not long ago I said it, but I'll say it again because it answers the question. And that is that, there's two categories of transcendental knowledge. I mean, there's many categories, but two basic divisions. That's Shruti and Smriti. And the Shruti is the eternal sound that is coexistent with Krishna, that can never change. Not one sentence, not one syllable, not one inflection. It has to be spoken in exactly the same way. And Jiva Goswami not makes a case, he proves that the Bhagavatam, although it's a Purana, and in another sense is in a category of Smriti, or those literatures which explain the Shrutis, in language that it's easier for us to understand in the material world. Because the language of the original Vedas, the Vedic Sanskrit, and even classic Sanskrit, especially the Vedic Sanskrit, the Vedas, they're not actually meant for human beings to understand. We can't understand them. They're meant to be chanted properly so the demigods can hear them and they understand and they get pleased and then they propitiate the human beings on the planet. Deva bhavyatanina, te deva bhavyantava, parasparam bhavyanta, shreya paramabhapchita. There's cooperation between men and demigods because of this sacrifice of offering to Vishnu and to the demigods through the Vedic mantras. So when and the Smritis, they don't necessarily have exactly the same sound vibration every time. It comes through a different rishi's mind or his words in each creation. It may be different, but it explains the same concept, and the concepts stay the same. But the Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami proves, is actually Shruti, not Smriti. It's an eternal sound. And even when, this doesn't make any sense, by the way, materially. So you have to tune up your faith, your faith antennas. You have to tune it up. Because even when Shukadev Goswami is asking, Parikshit Maharaj is asking questions of things that haven't happened yet, they're in the text of the Bhagavatam, the eternal Bhagavatam. It's like a script. Then, if that's not enough, then when Shukadev speaks it, because it comes through his consciousness and he's completely pure, then that literature has a capacity to become even sweeter. Nigamakampatador galitam palam sukha mukhad amrita dravya samyutam. Dravya samyutam means it digests it and makes it easier to get, easier to hear, easier to understand, and even more. You get it more taste, more sweetness, amrita, dravya samyutam. So when Narada Muni came, just when Vyasadeva was feeling despondent after he had edited the Vedas, compiled the Puranas, or put the Puranas into writing, and then himself, though he edited those two things in the Upanishads, then he himself wrote the Mahabharata and the Vedanta Sutra. That's like 100 lifetimes of work. And yet he was despondent. And then Narada came and he said, "Why do you look so despondent?" He said, "Please, you tell me, because you're my guru, and I don't know, I can't understand." He said, "Because you didn't just write something in glorification of the absolute truth, Sri Krishna." So he said, "Do that, and then you'll be satisfied." So then he went into trance. Remember? He went into trance, and he brought the Bhagavatam intact through his heart. He's Rishi. There's two kinds of rishis. There's the mystic original rishis, and then there's the Shruti rishis, the ones who hear from those other rishis and pass it on through their chain of disciplic succession. But there's rishis who are very powerful, mainly mind-born rishis of Brahma, who can bring into the external world the Vedic sounds. So the Bhagavatam has always been there. And if we just repeat it, and even like Prabhupada now, he's translating it into English, but because he is not an ordinary person, obviously, when he translates it into English, we get it. We're getting, I remember when we first went to India and we started traveling around the trains like this, and all these smart Brahmanas would come and chant a lot of Sanskrit and try to impress us and embarrass us, and we just would say to them what Prabhupada said us, and they were amazed. I had one guy, he was a professor of somewhere, and we met him on the train, and he became so blown out by the answers that I gave him, which I just repeated what Prabhupada said. At that time I was a fairly young devotee. And he followed me right back to the temple in Bombay. I thought he was going to join or something. He didn't, but because he wanted to know how you knew this. You're a Western person. You're not supposed to know anything. So if we just agree, to hear with faith, the sound that is touched by the lips of a liberated soul, then we become eligible to understand Krishna, and eligible to become in pure goodness. That's as much as I know about that. And it's 5 minutes to 6, so I'm going to, with permission of everyone, permission. I'm going to stop here. It's almost 6 o'clock. Permission. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your lovely questions and reflections. Everyone's so deep and Krishna conscious. I feel very fortunate to be in your company. And please let us continue this forever. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Tomorrow's Monday, so we'll see you at 6:30 Central Time, just right here in the live studios of Radha Lane. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Thank you.